It's a Happy New Year's celebration here on Around Kansas as Deb reveals her New Year's resolution. Then Dave Kendall shares another great story, this time about the petroglyphs of the Kansas Smoky Hills. Then Jamie Bloom and Marion Stewart reminisce about the old Broughton School in Clay County. Our friend Mr. Checkwagon is our featured poem, and we end with a look at Prohibition in Kansas from our friend Michelle Martin.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Happy New Year! I'm Deb Goodrich. Welcome to Around Kansas on this New Year morning. And I just felt like a little sparkle today, so I put on these gorgeous earrings. They look like a party, you know, just kind of an instant party. And I know it's the morning after the big party for a lot of us, but let's just celebrate every doggone day. Man, have we got an exciting year coming up. You know, I am the chairwoman of the 200th anniversary of the Santa Fe Trail. And man, we are kicking it into gear this year. So a lot of plans going on. And if you would like to be involved, please let me know. Just drop me a line, drop me an email, message me here at Around Kansas. Just let me know if you would like to be involved, if you would like to support all the great things we've got going on. If your community would like to be involved. You know, Kansas has more miles of the Santa Fe Trail than any other state. So we need to make a first-rate showing. Speaking of awesome things in Kansas, we've been talking about books. This is Birds, Bones, and Beetles by Chuck Warner. The improbable career and remarkable legacy of Kansas naturalist Charles D. Bunker. Phenomenal book. So if you got a little money for Christmas and looking for something to spend it on, or, you know, a last-minute gift for the people you haven't run into yet, that's a great one. And fresh from Roger Ringer, our friend, with an introduction by Becky Tanner, Eccentric Kansas. And golly, we have some eccentrics. This is the coolest book. And there are a lot of little stories in here. Some of them I knew, some of them I did not. One that really caught my attention the other day when I was flipping through, William Farmer from Pratt, Kansas, the voice of Goofy in several movies. And he was also the voice of Yosemite Sam, Sylvester, and Foghorn Leghorn in the movie Space Jam. Like I keep telling you people, our biggest export is talent. And Roger's got some phenomenal stories. That is a book from Arcadia Press, History Press. So highly encourage you to pick that one up. Speaking of talent, I'm coming to you this morning from the Fort Wallace Museum from our organ collection. And our friend and neighbor, Dick Ray, contributed these dozens, and I mean dozens, of organs to the museum. He had his own museum in Sharon Springs for a number of years and then donated this collection to the museum. They are all in working order. When we have people more talented than myself, we play those, so I invite you to come out and see those sometime. Well, a lot of talk about New Year's resolutions, and I know, of course, number one is everybody talks about losing weight, eating healthier, getting more exercise. You know, the diets all start today. So many things going on to try to better yourself and be a better person, you know, for the new year. I'll tell you folks, after years of not being able to keep any of the resolutions, this is what my resolution is. I am going to resolve to be kinder to myself. And kinder does not equate to indulgent, but just to be kinder. And I think about the ways that we talk to ourselves so many times, and we're so much harder on ourselves than we would be anybody that we know, our friends or relatives. Most of us are much more critical of ourselves. So let's all resolve to be kinder this year, but start with yourself. Let's be kind to ourselves. Have a wonderful show. Stay with us.
In 1821, a trade route was opened from Missouri in the United States across prairies and mountains to Mexico. In 2021, we will mark 200 years of epic conflicts and grand adventures, larger-than-life personalities, and sweeping landscapes. Join us on an historic journey. The Santa Fe Trail lives on.
Find us on social media or santafetrail.org.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.
My name's Karen Cope, and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but you know what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. You know, after stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before, because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards, and to be able to win at cards. You know, they all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? You know, where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.
This segment brought to you by the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley.
What an exciting wildlife segment. You know, we've talked about how much there is to explore in Kansas. This brand new book from KU Press, Petroglyphs of the Kansas Smoky Hills by Rex Buchanan, Burt Griggs, and Josh Svati, is a must-have. And thank you, Dave Kendall, for bringing us a little information and something of the presentation from the Lawrence Library on this magnificent volume. Good job, guys. Good job.
Just to sort of be clear about roles here, this book took all 3 of us. I did most of the text, Burt did the photography, Josh reviewed the text, helped with the logistics for landowner access, which will become part of the story that we tell in this process as well. All 3 of us had different motivations as we worked on this project, but I can say one of the things that motivated me was both Josh and I grew up out in the middle of Kansas. I grew up in Rice County, right in the middle of the state. Josh grew up just north of there in Ellsworth County. I don't know about you, Josh, but as I grew up as a kid, I was really struck about the fact that when I took Kansas history courses, they almost always seemed to start in 1854. And occasionally, if you had a really enlightened history teacher, it might go all the way back to 1541 and Coronado, but it never seemed to spend more than about a paragraph or 15 minutes prior to that. And I personally found it frustrating that by the time I graduated from high school, I knew more about the Magna Carta than I did about the people that lived in the place that I was from. Josh and I started sort of on this project by taking people on field trips to look at these things out actually where we grew up. The reaction is always the same. People walk up, they look at them, and their first question is, what do these mean? What's going on here? Now, by and large, there's not a great literature on petroglyphs, particularly not in Kansas. And one of the reasons is that you can't date these things. You can't tell how old they are, as opposed to other kinds of artifacts like, say, pottery that you can date. These things are very difficult to date. Now, I would guess that most of these are in the neighborhood of a couple hundred years old. A lot of that is based on the geology that we'll look at when we look at these sandstones that these things are on. So One of the challenges is dating. Another challenge is tribal identification. And again, one of the first questions people always have is, what tribes, what nations created these things? And again, it's really difficult to know that with certainty, but you can begin to make sort of educated guesses based on historical information, oral histories, and certain cultural motifs that, again, you see in some places. Most of the attention on these things focuses on two tribes, the Pawnee, who lived in south central Nebraska and north central Kansas, and the Wichita, who lived in this area at the time. These are both mostly sedentary tribes. That is, these are not the kind of nomadic tribes that you think of out on the high plains and maybe associate with western Kansas. These are tribes that live in lodges and twice a year go out onto the plains to hunt and then come back to where they have those lodges. Almost all of these things are on private property, and most of the landowners are not thrilled with the idea of letting strangers onto their property to look at these things. So we don't give exact locations in the book. So if you want a guidebook to Kansas petroglyphs, don't buy that book.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on three main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff, like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Marion Stewart taught school for many years, and one of her favorite memories was teaching at the Broughton, Kansas School. It was a small two-room schoolhouse located just outside of Clay Center. Marion recalls that it took her a while to get used to having a class filled with students of different ages and grade levels.
I didn't know anything about country school. How did they get 4 grades done in one day?
Right.
I found a lady that taught at Bala, and she was the best help. She helped me get my classes organized.
Yeah.
It was great. I loved it, teaching at Broughton.
So you had, were you the only teacher there then?
No, Dottie Friesen was the other one.
So there were 2 of you. And about how many kids then total did you have?
The first year I was there, I had 30 kids.
You had 30 kids?
And I don't know how many she had.
Okay.
The only thing I know is that in the winter time, more than once, if it had snowed, it'd be a foot of snow.
Sure.
Dottie and I agreed that we would take the kids out and we would walk around the school 10 times because there was no recess.
But you just needed to
We needed
some
fresh
energy.
air.
Yeah.
And so a single file, we walked around that schoolhouse. I think the upper grades went first, and we'd go round and it was 10 times and go back in. I remember that Dottie told me that one of her little boys in the 3rd grade, I think, or 2nd or 3rd grade. He came to school the next day after wandering around the schoolhouse and said, I don't know. My dad said he doesn't know why you took us outside because we don't even put the cows out when the weather's like that.
Oh, well, I think it was probably a good idea, though.
Yeah, there was a hill in the back of the schoolhouse, and sometimes we would, if we made arrangements ahead of time, I'd get an okay for us to open the gate, and we'd bring our sleds.
Oh, yeah, and you let them do some sledding.
Well, they still had, I didn't just let them do the sledding. They had to give up recess in the morning and in the afternoon, and they had to give up their, I'll call it recess at noon. We would eat, and then we'd go back to school. So we had the same number of hours in school.
Right. Yeah, make up the time.
And then we'd be ready to go outside and sail down that hillside on a sled.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That was more fun.
Yeah, fun memories.
We did that a lot.
Yeah.
One time we went ice skating.
Yeah? Was there a pond close by then?
No, I don't know. It was a mile or so away.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The town of Broughton no longer exists, lost through the construction of the Milford Dam. And country schools are a thing of the past, but Marion has many fond memories of her time teaching there, and we thank her for sharing a few of them today on Around Kansas. I'm Jamie Bloom. Thanks for tuning in.
SureCrop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. SureCrop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare Supplement insurance plans. With Medicare Supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that's served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare Supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agamandkansas.com. This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Let us help feed your family.
Cowboys love to eat, and it was an essential part of modern day life as well as the old cattle drives. And so the cookie was a very important part of the crew in the old times of those great cattle drives from Texas to Kansas. This poem is a tribute to that chuck wagon. It's called Our Friend Chuck Wagon. An army travels on its stomach, a wise person once said, because a food supply is important when a group's marching ahead. We have to have food when a group is on the move. It's essential to life and to keep us in the groove. That's true for armies, as seen from soldiers' leadership, and for others, such as a lengthy family trip. And it was also true in yesteryear on cattle drives of old, when longhorn herds came north with cowboys brave and bold. Those cowboys had to eat, so a chuck wagon came too, with food supplies and a cook to make it do. It might have sourdough for biscuits, lots of pots and pans, with coffee, dried fruit, beans, and maybe something in some cans. The chuck wagon would roll along, accompanying the herd, to serve the cowboys food when the boss would give the word. We give thanks for this system, which former history reveals. I guess the chuck wagon was the original Meals on Wheels. Happy trails.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Trust and leadership are critical to success at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center in Manhattan. Just ask Coach Bill Snyder.
People of the Regenerative Center do care about others. I've been highly impressed with those people that have that vested interest and try to help people become better. The center really is a wonderful thing here in Manhattan, first of its kind, and we're on the cutting edge of what lies ahead.
Find out more about the trusted leader in stem cell therapy at kansasrmc.com. Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Supply. This segment brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Our favorite Kansas historian is back with us this morning, and I can guarantee you she's got some sparkle going on. Good morning, Michelle, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Deb. I want to wish all our viewers a joyous new year. Here's to more adventures together, and maybe we can all get in some mischief, too. On New Year's Day, 1881, as Kansans celebrated the new year, they did so without their favorite grog, beer, ale, or spirits. Let's learn more about Prohibition and temperance in Kansas.
On December 31st, 1880, Kansans celebrated the end of the year by gathering together with family and friends. Some residents of the Sunflower State enjoyed beverages at dram and grog shops, taverns, and saloons as they rang in the new year. However, on January 1st, 1881, a new law attempted to dry up the state. Temperance was not a new movement in Kansas history. With the arrival of the first New Englanders in the territorial period, men and women took up the causes of temperance, the abolition of slavery, and women's suffrage. Sarah Robinson, Clarina Nichols, Florella Adair, and Julia Lovejoy all advocated for a dry Kansas territory. Temperance rallies were a regular feature of life in territorial Kansas. Many temperance advocates also looked to the territorial elections as a prime example of the disruptive influence of alcohol and equated Missourians with whiskey-swilling heathenism. The outbreak of the Civil War put a pause on temperance efforts, but the war's end saw renewed calls for the Kansas legislature to enact statewide prohibition. From 1870 to 1880, letter-writing campaigns, multi-day temperance camp meetings, newspaper editorials, and new faces in the movement helped bolster the cause. Annie Diggs, who moved to Lawrence in 1873, became a leading advocate for temperance. Annie and her husband published a newspaper, the Kansas Liberal, which advocated for temperance. Kansas Governor John St. John supported temperance, and his office was flooded with a torrent of letters asking for his support of a statewide ban on the manufacture, sale, distribution, and consumption of alcohol. After an effective, sustained letter-writing campaign in 1880, temperance advocates got their wish. However, despite the passage of a statewide prohibition that took effect in 1881, state legislators in Topeka retreated to numerous establishments that continued to sell illegal spirits. Temperance advocates continued to push for the enforcement of Kansas's prohibition laws. Eventually, one woman took matters into her own hands. Carrie Nation led legions of hatchet-wielding women who entered illegal saloons where they smashed casks and bottles of alcohol. Once again, women would lead the charge to ensure that Kansas remained dry.
Despite the efforts of temperance advocates, Kansans found creative ways to procure their favorite adult beverages. Not until national prohibition was passed did law enforcement have the teeth and resources needed to enforce prohibition laws. I hope you enjoyed our look at temperance and prohibition in Kansas and its connection to New Year's Day. I look forward to taking you on another historical adventure somewhere around Kansas. Happy New Year!
Have a blessed New Year, everybody. I'm Deb Goodrich, and I'll see you somewhere around Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer and work with you.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source, together we grow.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.